Hello, my name is Dami. Welcome to the Real Talk. So this week I am continuing on the topic of the effect of relocation on family dynamics, and today really I'm looking at it from the children's perspective. So this week's Real Talk is for any parent who has a child who is old enough to know what different looks like. You see, I have a little bit of experience with this. I moved from Nigeria as a teenager to the UK. So I have experienced the highs and the lows of moving. I have experienced the excitement of moving and the sudden deflation that comes from the realization that everything you know, you've left behind. So for anyone who has a child who knows different, there are certain things that we have to put in place to help our children navigate these differences, because really they are going to notice that life as they know it is different. They'll probably notice the differences in the family dynamics. They'll probably notice if there's a difference in your couple dynamics and mom and dad. They will notice all these differences. So we do have to communicate with our children. We have to talk about the different things that they're going to experience. We have to discuss the fact that the home dynamics might be different. We have to discuss the differences that they will experience out there in the society. Because let's face it, these children that we are bringing from the different countries, like Nigeria or Ghana or Uganda, to this country, especially children over age 5, research shows that moves are harder for children over that age group, over age 5. That's quite scary given that I have a 5-year-old. They know that something is different, and it's important that we talk about those differences to them, because the reality is even a 5-year-old who's lived in Nigeria has never had to realize that they're black. So if you bring a 5-year-old into this culture, they are suddenly going to notice all the things that's different about them. So if we don't talk about these things, how would they process, how would these children process this different life experiences that they're suddenly having? Now, I remember when I moved, I had 1 week of just blissful experience because I was within the family in that first week before school started. So yes, our kind of family dynamics, our family networks was quite diverse. So in that 1 week, I was exposed to different cultures. So that had me prepared a little bit, but it did not prepare me enough for the experience of going to school and being one of 4 children in the entire school that was black. And it was a shock because of course all my life I've been black and I haven't ever had to notice it. And then I go to school and I'm one of 4 children who was black. And the thing is, they would then come across a lot of experiences that would challenge their identity. One of such experience for me was one of my classmates was just being inquisitive. They weren't trying to be mean. And they asked me a question that was quite impactful as a teenager. And the question was, why does your hair feel like a carpet? And of course, they touched my hair without me asking them to touch my hair. And without them asking for permission. They were just curious as to how my hair that I held up in a bun, how it looked. And to be honest, I didn't have a good answer to that question, apart from to just say, no, it doesn't. And if I look back from that experience, really it left me a little bit insecure about my look and about how my hair looked, and was I pretty, was my hair pretty? These experiences are important for our kids because it is quite impactful for them. So that kind of got me on a journey of just kind of discovering who you are, your identity. Do you fit in? Do you not fit in? And the other thing is, if we're bringing children who are again above the age of 5, especially children in their teenage years going into schools, they are going into schools probably where friendship groups are already established. So this is going to be tough on them because they have to now try to fit into friendship groups. So therefore, if their identity is not already solid, from the home, from us checking in with them daily, consistently, reassuring them, they are going to struggle, and these experiences are hard for them. Another thing is that it has to be a do as I do, not as I say. Going back to the issue of hair, I made a decision when I had a daughter that I was going to focus on kind of learning to manage my afro hair and just doing more Afrocentric hair in order to kind of help my daughter see the example of what afro hair looks like, of how to manage it, of developing an identity through looking at me and seeing what I look like. Now, if we have children that are coming from Nigeria or Ghana or these beautiful, these countries that have just differences, and they come into these countries, we have to help them from the home. We have to help them, one, they have to see a model of what African beauty looks like or what Black beauty looks like. Because when they do go to school, they are going to see the different expressions of beauty. And if they don't already know from the home what beauty looks like in their context, they're going to struggle. They really will struggle. The other thing is in preparing our children for the world that they are now going to be a part of, for the society which is beautifully diverse. We ourselves in our home have to make the effort to have diverse network. I think this is absolutely important, because if we are sending our children to schools where they are going to be a part of a diverse, multicultural society, and if at home they don't see that modeled, it's going to cause a little bit of confusion as to, one, we're not preparing them how to deal with diversity, we're not exposing them to different cultures in the house, so therefore they're not going to learn about diversity, they're not going to learn about different cultures, so that when they go to school, how would they then fit into this diverse community, this diverse setup, this multicultural setup that they have in school? So we have to have our children well prepared from the house, we have them well prepared from the home. And we just have to check in with them, because the other thing is their feelings. How are they feeling with all these changes? Because it is hard on them. It really is hard on them. These different kind of life experiences that they now have to have, and they now have to navigate. So we have to check in on them, have an understanding of what they're dealing with and what they're going through, and be prepared as parents to help them navigate it, so that they can successfully kind of establish themselves in these cultures and they can thrive in this culture. So I just hope that I can encourage any parent out there to just have that conversation. Have that conversation with your 5-year-old about how they're doing with this new experience that they have, with this new life that you've given to them. Because I'm sure you're doing all of the relocating that you've done for their sake as well. Most of us make these moves, of course, to better ourselves and to give our children better opportunities. But it is important to bring them into the conversation. It's important to talk to them about how all of this is affecting them and how they're coping and how they are settling into the changes, so that we can help them manage it. We can help them manage the effect on their mental health. Because really, children, they might not come to you and tell you the different ways in which the relocation have affected them. But if you pay attention close enough, you will know, you will see if they're having kind of negative experiences, because it will come out in different forms. It will come out in them, probably a child who is quite talkative might start talking. They might start throwing tantrums. They might just be sad. They might be a bit withdrawn. And these are important signs to show that these changes are affecting our children. So we have to watch out for these kind of signs. We have to watch out for their health and their emotional health. Given that this past weekend was the World Mental Health Awareness Day on Saturday, this is quite important that as many of us are relocating to these different countries, that we check in with our children, and we just make sure that they are settling well to their new life, and so that they can thrive and they can just be the best that you want them to be and the best that the Lord has called them to be. So let's do our part. Let's talk to our children. Let's enable them. Let's empower them in how we ourselves are establishing ourselves in these countries, how we are setting up our networks, how we are talking about our communities and what we're doing in our communities, and how we are establishing our homes, so that our children can thrive in this beautiful community, these beautiful countries that we have all relocated to. It's been Real Talk with Danny. Amen. Blessed.